Chapter 44, The Puzzle. Closing the hatch on the deck, Azer remarked, "Seems like luck was on our side this time." Sitting back down on the bench, he inquired, "Were you able to crack the puzzle about those made-up reports?" The professor glanced at a handle that controlled the engine, shifted gear, and replied, "You might recall that a few years ago, the German authorities decided to open up the archives of the dismantled Stasi, the intelligence service from East Germany. I visited the place and asked the officials if they ever came across the term, the Arab Spring, in those archives. Surprisingly, they hadn't." Azer reached down and picked up the rolling whiskey bottle, securing it on the bench. The professor continued, "Without raising my hopes too high, I decided to head to the Free University of Berlin. I investigated the yearbooks, tracking down the names of the students in the photo that the Egyptian guy had given me. But what I saw in those yearbook photos was chilling. Those young people had come to Berlin with dreams of education, only to face torture and death." He went on, "I tracked down a couple of their German classmates, hoping to uncover what had transpired. Sadly, they had no clue. The Germans and foreigners, back then as well as now, seem to inhabit different worlds, though not as much anymore." Shifting gears again, he continued, "Then, one day at the Free University, while having lunch, I struck up a conversation with a senior lecturer from the Faculty of Humanities. I casually mentioned my search for traces of the Arab Spring in history. To my surprise, he said he had something I might find intriguing. We went to his office, where he retrieved a dusty book perched high on a shelf among the books. And guess what the title of that book was?" Before Azer could respond, the professor interjected, "The Arab Spring." "And the author?" "Julius Fox. The back even had his photo." I had no idea who Julius Fox was. The lecturer told me that Fox had been the right-hand man to Markus Wolf, the chief of East German intelligence. Strangely enough, the East German authorities had tasked Fox with spying on Markus Wolf himself. Looking intently at Azer, he added, "And did you know that Markus Wolf was present as a reporter during the Nuremberg trials against Nazi Germany?" Azer chimed in journalism school, our headmaster, Professor Alba, often said, a journalist without political awareness is like a guide dog without a sense of direction. He had this topic about the most influential journalists worldwide, and the story of Markus Wolf's life was part of the curriculum. Pouring himself some whiskey into his mug, the professor apologized, "Might look like I've got a drinking issue, but I don't indulge often." Azer grinned, replying, "I've worked as a bartender, and I've learned to respect people's choices about alcohol as a private matter." Considering the gravity of their circumstances, Azer felt the need for a drink himself. He poured some whiskey into his mug and inquired, "So, how did you progress with untangling this mystery?" The professor responded, "Initially, I suspected that one of the Arab students was responsible for those reports. However, after I visited the university and discovered that small book, I became convinced that someone else in Berlin had fabricated those dangerous reports. But who, and for what reason, would someone commit such a dreadful act that resulted in the loss of numerous young lives?"